Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Sell More Book Show, episode 586. I'm Bryan Cohen from Best Page Forward, joined by Marissa Farrar, fantastic British romance author who writes dark romance, reverse harem, and a whole bunch of other fun stuff. So, Marissa, thank you so much for being here again.
Thank you, Bryan. It's good to be back.
Yeah, you talked about at the tail end of last episode, you talked about how newer authors spend way too much time thinking about trying to get their existing books to sell rather than just using what they've learned to write the next book. You said it took you a while. Like, where did things click over when you realized, nope, just got to write another book. Nope, just got to write another book and use what I've learned on that book. Like, when did that click into place for you?
I'd say it was 2017.
2017. Okay.
Yeah, so in 2015, I started writing dark romance, and I hadn't discovered the reverse harem genre yet. That was all still completely, I don't even know if it existed.
Yeah.
But so I was kind of like putting a few things out and trying to kind of create the same vibe with each book. And then I came across reverse harem, and I was like, oh, I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wrote a 4-book series that pushed me for the first time into 6 figures, and absolutely loved it, and the readers loved it. And then it just kind of clicked that like that worked, and I needed to just recreate what I've done, but for new storylines and new characters. And I've had a few occasions where I've kind of swerved off the path and written something a bit different, but for the most part, that's what I've stuck to over the last 8 years. And it's going brilliantly, and I've got no plans to change. I do still sort of write the occasional like passion project, I guess you'd say. Like I've got a fantasy book coming out next month. And I write my crime as well. But for the most part, my solid reader base is with the dark reverse harem.
And so the skies parted. You were so excited to work on the RH stuff. Do you feel like it took any amount of time for you to say, I am going to spend less time focused on my old books and more time focusing on these things that actually got me to 6 figures?
I mean, honestly, I was never really somebody who went back much to my older books. I've always been, I still am. I still always just want to get on to the next story. Like even to the point where I don't even really want to go and edit the last one that I've written.
Yep.
Because I'm wanting to, get stuck into the new characters and get stuck into the new book. It's only actually been recently that I've started going back and sort of reworking some of my older books. So I didn't do that so much. I definitely did just kind of move on. But like I said, I've literally gone through like so many different genres. I started initially when I first started taking it seriously. I was writing horror. That was my, I grew up on Stephen King and Dean Koontz and all those guys. And I still have just finished a Stephen King book, so I haven't changed that much. But then that morphed into paranormal romance, and then the paranormal romance morphed into dark romance, and then the dark romance became why I choose romance, and so it has been like an evolving thing for me. But I love all genres. I just have to force myself to stick to one.
Yeah. Oh, I know how that goes. I know how that goes. That's awesome though. And I think that continuing to look forward, continuing to look ahead at the future books is rarely a bad decision. Yeah. Awesome. Remember to go check out Marissa's books at marissafarrarbooks.com, where you can start in on some dark romance, on some why choose romance, and our author ad agency that runs Amazon ads and eventually soon Facebook ads as well for authors who are earning over $6,000 a month in royalties. Come at us. Email me, Bryan at sellingforauthors.com. It's been really, really exciting. After so many years of helping authors, get their first $100 month, get their first $1,000 month, like helping authors have $100,000 month, or helping authors get to the top 10 in the Kindle store, or helping authors. We have one author right now who has 6 books in the top 1,500 in the Kindle store, and it's just like, this feels so cool. Like you know, we've made we made differences in a lot of people's lives to get even just their first $100, but to have people like make this kind of money is so cool. And I mean, I want to eventually offer other kinds of ads too, beyond even Facebook. Like, I'd love to be offering TikTok ads in the future too. It's like, sky's the limit. Let's find as many ways to help authors as possible.
I am a TikTok ad fan.
Okay, nice. Maybe we'll have to trade notes at some point. But awesome. Let's go into the previous week's question, which was, what are your tips for automation in your author career? What are you doing now, and how are you doing it? Eric Stevens said, start small with something you can handle, which I like that as a piece of advice in general. Bethany Tucker said, weird tip, if you use Canva to create content for online promotion, create a folder and save images / graphics into a folder for each project / book / series as you work that you think you might use in the future. That way, when you sit down to batch process those graphics, you already have a pool of images and you don't have to search for everything. I think that is really good advice. Marissa, when it comes to trying to automate things in your business, do you have anything that you feel like, yeah, this made a big difference?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with Bethany, actually. I
Nice.
absolutely love Canva. Reusing content is like such a big part of my business. So
Yeah.
when I do a TikTok video, I'll quite often upload that to Canva. Then I've got it on my phone. Anytime I want to download it, use it to something else, I'll take a TikTok video and post it to Instagram, post it to Facebook. If I have one doing well, then I'll use it for advertising. So I'll use it to advertise my shop if I'm doing like a TikTok sales video. So yeah, reuse content. And if you find a hook on TikTok that does well, use it again and again and again.
I love it. I love it. Great advice. Thank you. And Marissa has sold a lot of books on TikTok Shop, so definitely pay attention to her TikTok advice. And y'all, you can always answer the question of the week at the Soundmore Book Show After Party Facebook group. Let's go into this one. How to prep for launch, our top story of the week. Quote, successful book launches all share a common denominator, successful planning, says Draft to Digital's Lexi Green. A good book launch plan shouldn't start a week or so before you publish, but months before. To make it simple, Green has put together a pre-launch checklist that can serve as a roadmap to lead you down a path toward a successful launch, starting actually 6 to 12 months before your launch. At this stage, you're still defining your goals. Are you looking primarily for sales, visibility, new readers, reviews? Quote, a novelist with a decade of experience may aspire to hit a bestsellers list, while a memoirist may simply want to publish solely for their family, end quote. Consider what goals are important to you, because these will guide your path in the next stages. Other considerations are identifying your target audience, your budget, making sure your website, social media, and newsletter are functional and ready to go. As you get closer, your checklist may want to include making sure your book itself is going to be at its best, like editing, formatting, cover, and book description. This is also a great time to start putting together an advanced reader or ARC team and a plan for promotional opportunities like book blogs, podcasts, reviewers, newsletter swaps, etc. Once you're 1 to 3 months out, make sure you've physically proofed your print and ebooks, created any graphics for your promotion, and ordered any author copies you plan to use for events or your ARC readers. Finally, launch day is here, so announce your book's release everywhere. That means on your social media, blogs, and email lists. For the complete checklist and a lot more ideas for your next launch, check out the Draft to Digital blog using the link in our show notes. Now, Marissa, very few people plan their launches 6 to 12 months in advance, and authors who release more regularly than 6 to 12 months in advance probably laughed at the idea of 6 to 12 months. When do you start planning a launch? Like, how long in advance?
So I'd say 3 months. So I normally have about 3 months gap in between book releases. So the first thing I do for a new book is make sure that the pre-order is up and then have the link of it in the previous book. That's like
Yes.
goal
Smart.
number one.
Smart.
I'd also try and create something as a bonus. Say, for example, in the back of the previous book that people can get so that they get onto your newsletter when they
Smart.
download it. So again, you've hooked those people in and you can let them know when the next book is out. It's all about funneling people really so that you can tell them about the new book once it's launched. But yeah, I mean, I think she did a great job of covering most of that. For me, for my arcs, I use Booksprout,
Yep.
which has worked really well for me. I do 50 copies at a time, and they all go within a matter of hours of putting them up. It's a lot. When I was running them myself, it can be quite difficult to kind of push people to say, "Have you reviewed? Have you reviewed?" And
Right.
it was just kind of a bit ick. But with Booksprout, they do all of that for you. So that's made my life a lot easier, which probably goes back onto the automation thing. That's one of
Yeah,
those things
exactly.
that's automated.
Exactly.
But yeah, like getting the book up for pre-order is probably the number one thing.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, if you can figure out a way to get some of the work off your plate for these launches, because they can be so challenging, whether it be through Booksprout or something else, it's like, it's okay to be doing less. I think people want to keep doing more and more and more for their launches, and
Yeah,
it's
you've got to
okay.
be doing the things like for me. I've got a couple of PAs that post for me and sort out my newsletters and things like that, which allows me to do the more face-to-face things like be on TikTok and connect with my readers that way.
Right.
I wouldn't be able to have the headspace to do that if I was trying to do all the other things myself. It would just be too much.
Right. Absolutely. And so this segues well into the question of, should all book launches be a big production? What are some good reasons to maybe have a low-key launch?
I mean,
What do
we
you think?
talked before about obviously the change in the ranks.
Sales ranks. Yep.
So maybe we should all be thinking about having a lower key launch these days.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
but other times I'd say, like for things like translations, I wouldn't do such a big launch. That's much more of a quiet thing that I just kind of, send out to that newsletter and maybe have a small ad or something, and that's about it. Otherwise, I just let it do its thing.
Yeah. 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 I mean, especially if you're one of those memoirists, like was mentioned in here, you don't have to go spend $5,000 on a launch because you're
No,
not going to make it back.
no, no,
So,
exactly,
so
exactly.
be chill. Be chill.
Um, if you do have an underwhelming book launch, like I've had recently, you've got any ideas about how a book could recover from that?
I seriously believe that any book can rise, but it has to be really intentional. I think that, for instance, because we talked about, maybe we'll troubleshoot yours. If we pretended like that was the soft launch, and we pretended like we didn't do a giant push on social, a giant push on email, a giant push for advertising, we just say, okay, well, now that it has a sales rank that's kind of decent, maybe we push it like we were launching it again. So on social media, maybe we send an extra email or two that we had not intended on sending, but we say, like, here are some of the early reviews. Here, in case you missed it. We might even say something like, Amazon has hidden my book, like we might make a whole thing out of it and say, like, Amazon changed the way it ranks its books, so you might not have seen that I released one.
Yeah,
Like, we can turn it into a whole story and keep posting it.
yeah,
And so that's what I would do in your case, is kind of almost pretend like it didn't happen,
hmm
and then like start pushing it over the course of a week or two, maybe instead of, you know, like segmenting your list, like I
yeah,
mentioned, say running some ads, but maybe not as big of a push on day one. That's what I would do if I were you. And any of you 5, 6, and 7-figure authors who've dealt with this lately, that is the tactic I would recommend. Treat it like the launch didn't happen and do a staggered relaunch, not a new ASIN, of course, but a staggered relaunch now that it has a sales rank established. For most authors that were hoping to make $1,000 or $500 and you made 50, you made 100, just remember that over the life of your book, you can make plenty as long as you don't give up on it completely. I still remain an advocate of Amazon ads. Getting 100 clicks. Seeing if after 100 clicks, is it profitable? If it's not, okay. Probably this was not a super profitable book. If you run 100 clicks and it was profitable, or it's 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 profitable, there is a chance that you can do significantly better over the life of that book over time. But it just might not happen right away, and you need to be patient. You can't be jacking up your bids super high so you pay a lot per click. You need to think about, okay, well, if I keep this up and it's making this $300 this month, how much is $300 over the course of 2 years per month? And it looks really, really good. It could be $7,200. And so you want to really try to be patient so you don't overdo it too fast and be okay with the chill launch that leads to long-term success.
Yeah, I like that answer. Patience and being chill are not my strong points, but
it's not always for me either, Marissa, but we try our best. We try our best. All right, we're back in the lightning round. Let's try to shift it up. Do you have another lightning sound you want to share with us, Marissa? Oh my gosh. And then how many car accidents are we going to cause this week? I love it. All right. The lightning has come. So, Marissa, at what point should authors consider special edition print books, sprayed edges, or even simple hardback editions?
I think any time that it excites them and invigorates them and makes them happy. As long as, it's not going to put you into financial difficulty or stretch you time-wise, then go for it. Why not? I mean, when I first started selling on TikTok Shop, literally all it was a omnibus book. The cover had a pre-made that I'd spotted and seen, and I think I ordered like 10 or 20 copies, something like that, like really small number.
Yeah.
And they just sold. And I was just like, oh my God. Oh my God. Look at this. And I remember just being so excited. I think I phoned my husband going, you're not going to believe it. And then I took the same book and I put it into a hardback. And then I had forced edges formatted for it.
Yep.
And that was like my first special edition. So it wasn't like a huge cost. I didn't have foil. I didn't have any of that. I still sell that book today. Like it still sells. But the amount of money that I had to put into it was minimal.
Yeah.
And the readers love it. I create like a matching bookmark that goes with it. I've got a matching pen. It's it's a whole experience for the reader when they get it. It's signed, obviously, because I send it direct.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think any time it excites you and invigorates you, just go for it.
That's awesome. Cool. Next question to you.
Ooh, how do you think it would be a good idea for people to get into doing special editions? Like, are there any kind of baby steps that people could take?
I think that the first thing I would consider doing is like buying someone's special edition.
Ah, good tip.
Let's like take a look at one in a genre you're excited about, or maybe it's a Kickstarter campaign. Buy one. I've got a couple from coaching students that I've purchased. I think I have one up there in the back. I think I have another one in the closet. It's like there are so many options out there for special editions. I think it can be overwhelming. But if you like pick one up and take a look at it and see what you like about it, and look, authors are pretty nice. You could always reach out to the author and say like, hey, I bought your special edition. Like, how did you get it printed? Usually people are pretty nice about that sort of thing. And that can be a part of the learning process rather than immediately saying, I'm going to go buy 100 books from China and get them shipped. here.
Yeah, don't do that straight away.
Buy one, take a look at it, and get an assessment if that's a product you would want to offer.
Yeah. I mean, it's even worth, possibly contacting printers and seeing if they'd send you any samples that they've got.
Ooh, good
I've had
idea.
printers send me different foiling samples, different books that have got various different like printed edges and all sorts of different things, and that's been really helpful in figuring out what I want, what kind of paper I want, what kind of foiling I want. So yeah, that's another option as well if people wanted to look into it more deeply.
Great tip. Great tip. I hadn't even thought about that. So Marissa, what's been the biggest challenge for you in setting up a bookshop on your website?
Initially, it was the tech side of it.
Yeah.
It was actually figuring out what on earth I was supposed to be doing. I ended up doing a course by Morgana Best,
Yep. Yep.
and I bought that and I went through that. Um, I'm not very good at concentrating on things like that. So I literally had to force myself to sit down and go through it. But it was brilliant. And there were so many things that I hadn't even considered, um, which sort of opened my eyes up. But after that, it's definitely been the stock, like trying to keep things in stock and knowing when to order more things. And even like things like the boxes that I send the books out in, and like if I've suddenly run out of something or I think that I've got something that I haven't, it just like the whole house of cards falls in.
Right. Right.
Um, so yeah, so it's been stock has been probably one of the hardest ongoing things that I've struggled with.
I talked to an author the other day who has an operations manager just for her shop and sales stuff, and she even flies her in regularly. I was like, what a
Wow.
good idea is just to have someone who's managing the shop.
Yeah, that does sound like a good idea.
So,
I have my
yeah,
husband, but yeah, I don't trust him to do everything.
I hear
His
you.
own,
I hear
he's
you
got
on
his
that.
own business that he's running, so he's
Of
super busy
course,
doing.
yeah, it makes it tough. It makes it tough. All right, next question from you to me.
Right. So what about if you're not quite ready for setting up the whole shop on the website? Are there any kind of smaller steps that people can take sort of to point them in the direct selling direction?
People don't realize this, but there are shopping cart programs out there for where you could send a PayPal link to someone or a Stripe link to someone, and they send you $4.99, and you send them an ebook using something as simple as BookFunnel.
Hmm.
You can do that. I've been doing that when I relaunched my ad challenge to be 14 days instead of 5 and started charging nine whole dollars for it.
Wow.
There is a bump offer to buy my Amazon ads book and some walkthrough videos. That's a book. I'm direct selling that ebook every single day through Facebook ads. But I could just as well send an email about it, post a post about it, and it's just literally a product through a shopping cart program. I use Thrivecart. Then they purchase on it. They get added to an email list, and that first email has a link to the product in it.
Yeah.
That's it. That counts as direct selling. You're allowed to do this. I have seen folks like Renee Rose has talked about this strategy, selling direct first to her readers from her website, then taking it down from direct, putting it into Kindle Unlimited for
Yeah.
90 days, then taking it down from Kindle Unlimited, and then putting it out wide and putting it back on the website.
Yeah.
You can do anything you want.
Yeah. I
And
mean, Kickstarter is a good way of doing that as well. Launch something on a
Kickstarter, yeah.
Kickstarter and then launch it on Amazon afterwards. And
Yeah. Kickstarter. Then sell again to your readers direct. Then KU. Then wide. Like there's you could do it TikTok shop exclusive first. It doesn't matter.
yeah, it's great. There's so many options out there for us. Like, literally the world's our oyster at the moment.
Exactly. But you can
It's a great
start
time to be an
small.
author.
You can start small with just one little link to one little book and
Yeah.
see how it goes. Um Last question. I gave you a whopper for the last one. What do you think is the best decision you've made for your marketing over the last 3 years, Marissa?
Selling on TikTok Shop.
Selling on
Definitely.
TikTok Shop.
Yeah, it's got to be, because there are just so many prongs to it in my mind. Like, yes, first of all, I'm on TikTok, so I'm speaking to the readers, and people are getting to hear about my books. Secondly, they're direct buying the books from me, so I'm making money that way. And then the best part is then when I've sent them their book out, they're opening their books on TikTok and advertising for me. So you've got 3 different prongs as far as your marketing goes with TikTok and TikTok Shop. So yeah, it's been great for me. I've been really, really happy with it. And it gave me my sort of insight into knowing that I could do Shopify and knowing that I could handle that, because I'd already got a taster of it through doing TikTok Shop. So yes, I'd definitely say TikTok Shop for me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, Marissa, we need a question of the week. Honestly, we could re-ask that last question to everybody else. What do you think?
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I'd be interested.
Then we don't have to think of anything.
Bit of cheat.
A little bit of a cheat. Never hurt anybody. What has been your best marketing decision over the last 3 years? You can answer at Sell More Book Show After Party Facebook group. Marissa, it's been such a delight to have you here these couple of weeks.
Thank you very much, Ryan. It's been great fun.
You're welcome. Do you have any parting words of wisdom you'd want to share, just like for folks who are still trying to make their big break?
I'd say don't be afraid to try.
I like it.
What's the worst that can happen?
I love it. Yes, absolutely. Folks, you can go to marissafarrarbooks.com, check out her books, maybe buy one of her special editions off TikTok Shop, and start to learn that game. Wonderful. So we'll be back next week, folks, with another wonderful guest co-host. So for Marissa, I'm Bryan. Have a great week of book selling, everybody, and we'll be back next week for episode 587. Bye.
Bye.